What's up, YouTube? Back out here at the lake, as you can tell. It's been a little while since my last video, so I figured I'd fill you guys in here. Smoking a Deadwood cigar. It's a Sweet Jane is the name of it. Just like any of the other Deadwood cigars I've had, it's fantastic. Real sweet, easy on the tongue. That's really all I can say about cigars, so I'm no connoisseur. I'm in a slightly different spot than usual. I have an actual view of the trail here, so I can watch people passing by. That bothers me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll be alright. For about the past 3 weeks now, I think as many others who are watching this video right now have been experiencing, we've had a nice stretch of cool weather. Fall has basically just set in. There was no farewell to the summer days. And I've been having some trouble adjusting to that, to be totally honest. I wasn't ready to abandon my summer activities. Really what I mean by that is just getting to spend some time up in Erie. Because what I was doing quite a bit there was I was going up to Erie and just soaking up the energy, the buzz that I felt at the beaches there, because the summer was a pretty warm one. So every time I'd go up there, there'd be hundreds of people, in their own little world, swimming, hanging out, enjoying a beach day. And I'd go up there by myself and just sit and embrace that buzz. There was something almost poetic about it. I'd go up there in my solitude. And to let yourself go in that solitude, surrounded by so many other people, to purposefully sense that lonesome feeling with a cigar, cool off in the water, just kind of go and enjoy, kind of go to the beat of your own drum there while everybody else's, parade floats are going by, essentially, to kind of go along with that drum metaphor. But to just sit there with yourself and watch everybody else around you create the buzz that you're feeling on the flesh, but to not receive that buzz internally because you are not there with anybody else. It was a very special thing that I wasn't ready to let go of. And now that the summer months have come to an end, that was the only way that I found that buzz through the summer. And I have yet to find a way to replicate that same buzz, that same energy, here in the cooler months. Because as everybody kind of does, the cooler months come around, especially winter, and everybody kind of locks themselves into their own little, solitary confinement. They stick to the house, they stick to the home base, essentially. In these last 3 weeks, I've been doing that. But I wasn't ready to give up the buzz, the energy. So I've been having some trouble adjusting to it. What I've been doing the last 3 weeks, though, is there's a tree line where I have my tree stand. We have 2 tree stands along this tree line. And over the last couple years, I've had some pretty wild storms come through and knock quite a few branches and whatnot out of trees. They logged it out several years ago and left a bunch of stuff just kind of laying around. So what I've been doing is I've been going through, gathering up all the dead stuff that can be burnt and bringing it back to the house to burn. I've spent a full day's worth of burning, if not more, like a full 24 hours worth of burning, dead wood over the last 3 weeks. And I've really enjoyed that. Don't get me wrong. But with that, it feels like a part of me is missing because I don't have that buzz, that excitement. And I found it a little bit over at Havana House. I came across a group of guys that were there. They're regulars over there. I've seen them before, but actually got involved in conversation with them and spent a couple hours there smoking, hanging out, having a good time. And I went in again, tried to replicate that same feeling again the following week. I met them on a Thursday the first time, and then went again the next Thursday to see if I could find them again, and they happened to be there. But the energy just wasn't the same. Spent a good, a little time with them, had fun with them, don't get me wrong. Nice group of people, but what I was looking for was the buzz, the energy, and it wasn't there because there weren't a lot of people coming in, and all that whole group knew each other pretty well. I'm an outsider. They welcomed me in, obviously, but so I did briefly find that buzz, but now that's been about 2.5 weeks since that happened. So I'm missing that. And it's messing with me a little bit. And I'm looking forward. We have the Moundsville Pipe meetup coming. I believe it's September 27th. I believe is what I was told. So I'll be looking forward to that because that'll kind of give me that buzz, that excitement. To be able to sit there with, a bunch of people and just, exist, talk, trade stories, smoke, all the stuff I like doing. But then with this buzz, like I said, it's almost poetic to sit there in your own solitude while everybody else is embraced with others. I mean, there were very few people running solo on these beaches. To sit there and absorb all that and to soak that in. And it got me thinking, why do I crave that so much? Why is that something that I pursue? Not in any way that it's bad. Just why? Curiosity. Why is that something that I relish in? The idea of being there totally alone, nobody knowing who I am, what I do, what I'm about, anything about me, really. Why do I crave that? Why is that something I enjoy? I can remember the first time I was ever introduced to something like that. Personally, what I felt. And I had been with somebody. I was with who's now a good friend. It was a 4th of July weekend, I believe. I went with her and her mom to a campground they visited or frequented or something. They were doing a fireworks show. And me and her kind of snuck off from her mom, and I think her mom had a boyfriend or something at the time. She was with him. Maybe her sister was there too, I don't remember, but we kind of snuck off and we sat in a pavilion like this. Turn night, they started the fireworks show, but we sat underneath the pavilion and watched the fireworks together. We had a nice pond behind us, and there were people kind of walking by, but nobody knew who we were. We didn't know anybody there. And that was such a magical moment. And I think I want to replicate that. I want to try to recreate that every time I go out, especially in these areas where there is a buzz, because there was a buzz at the campground that night because it's the 4th of July. Everybody's there for the fireworks show. Everybody's there having a good time. And once the show ended, we snuck back up to where Mom and them were. And they had a live band there that was playing, and there were people in there dancing, carrying on, drinking, having a good time. This was like 7-8 years ago, so her and I couldn't drink or really, get too involved with, some of the fun that was going on in there. But, just the buzz there was incredible. The moment that her and I shared underneath the pavilion there with the fireworks was spectacular. And all this time later, I don't think I've ever had a moment like that, similar, that even comes anywhere close to the energy and just the mood that was there. And I think that's what I crave. I think that's why I like going up to Erie and whatnot and sitting there and kind of reminiscing but longing for, somebody else to be there with me, to enjoy that with me. So if she's watching, it's all her fault. But I don't know. It's been weird adjusting to fall now. I wasn't ready for the summer months to end. And now they're just gone. They'll be back, obviously, but they're just gone. But archery season's coming up. I have a pretty big October planned. I'll be out Boswell's, I believe, October 8th through the 10th, I believe, are the days. I'm going to message some people, see if they want to do a small meetup out there, see if they're available to meet up out there. Maybe get a small group there. I think that'd be a lot of fun. There's some sites I want to see, some hiking I want to do. And then immediately after that, I think I'll be there the 8th through the 10th or whatever. The 10th through the 12th, I'll be about an hour north of Boswell's for one of my buddies getting married. We're having a bachelor party out there. Bachelor party weekend out there. So I'll be out there with them for a while too. So that it should be a pretty big October. Plus archery comes in. And I'm sure there I'll find the buzz that I crave, that I miss in those moments. So it's going to come back around. This too shall pass, right? But these last 3 weeks has been an adjustment that I wasn't prepared for. You know, and I think I started to see signs of almost a depression starting to kick in. You know, I journal frequently, I write quite a bit. And my entries were starting to become pretty vague. I was starting to, you know, really lose some of my creative expression. That's why I haven't been making videos either, because I haven't had anything, you know, really on the mind to talk about or think about. And I realized for like the last 2-3 weeks, again, the only music I've really enjoyed, I listen to a ton of music, but the only music I've really been able to enjoy are live jazz records. And I was sitting thinking about all this last night. And I enjoy live records, but I've never really tapped into that too much. And I was sitting there thinking last night, and if you compare it to just a regular jazz record or any sort of album, and you take the live album with it, you can feel that energy, that buzz in the crowd through the record, especially in a jazz record, or at least the ones I've been listening to. You know, some Bill Evans, Chet Baker, John Coltrane, stuff like that. So without even realizing it, at the time I was seeking this buzz, this, you know, energy, and I was somewhat getting it through the live records. And now that I've realized it and have kind of embraced it for what it is, you know, it seems like the mood is starting to lift itself up a little bit. The energy that I'm putting out now myself is starting to rise to what it used to be. So I had a little 3-week funk, and now I'm starting to climb out of it, which I'm pretty happy about. So that's really all that's been going on. We'll keep it short here. We won't let it go too long. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you around. Bye.